Hi guys, welcome back to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothian. I want to talk today about the Chiron-Mars conjunction that happens precisely on the 14th of July, and it is back to the 70s. Why do I say that? I'm going to go all signs, so stay tuned for that if you want to know about where this happens for you. It's because the last time Chiron and Mars came together in Aries was during 1970 to 1975, because it happened 5 times, roughly every 2 years during that window of time. And here we go again, and we're going to have 4 passes over the next 4.5, 5 years, and this is the first one. So this is for the collective, and this is for you individually in your chart as well. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what Chiron did when he met the warrior Aries back in 1970 to 1975. Let's talk about that, because that's going to recapitulate in some way, or happen again in some way. So first of all, Chiron is the wounded healer. Yes, I know, it's such a cliche, but he's also in Greek mythology the mentor of heroes. And when we talk about a hero, what are we actually talking about? I think we're talking about the heroic noble soldier. So the heroic archetype. So who did he mentor? He mentored the King of Thebes. He mentored Achilles, Jason and the Argonauts and the Golden Fleece. I mean, he literally had a bunch of heroes that he's famous for doing his mentorship thing with. And Chiron is a half horse, half man kind of healer archetype, but also a mentor. So what happens when Chiron meets Mars, or in essence Mars meets Chiron together in the sky on this rhythmic cycle? Again, early 1970s, and here we go again. To me, it's a combination of both the wounded soldier, because there is a woundedness with Chiron, the wounded hero, but also, so the dark side, the shadow, but also there's a sense of the noble, a warrior meeting the mentor, and something good can come from that. And one of the things that is interesting is that in the, there's this education of Achilles, one of the apprentices to a Chiron, and I have printed that out because I'm going to talk about the 70s, but I want to add something. I literally was fascinated by the account of Achilles is from the Achilleid, book 2, of being mentored by Chiron. So the whole beginning is about super noble, you know, he would never let me slay a lynx, but I could fight the biggest of tigers. And, you know, and it sounds like when you read the whole thing, Chiron was a tough love, kind of Zen master, energetic, tough on Achilles, but at the end of the day, a good guy, softy underneath, teaching him how to fight, teaching him to prepare for war, teaching him how to protect himself from wild bears and boars in the woods, that kind of thing. So one of the interesting parts, so in the account from Achilles, is this: never would he suffer me to follow. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. This is the one I wanted. Also did he teach me of juices and the grasses that succor disease, so that heal disease or soothe disease. What remedy will staunch too fast a flow of blood? What will lull to sleep? What will close gaping wounds? What plague should be checked with a knife? So because there's this part of the Chiron with the warrior, because Achilles was a warrior hero, that has to do with teaching the warrior how to fight plagues, and we're in the middle of a pandemic, I'm going to say that that's a pretty interesting timing. So when we look at that this round, not the 70s, we may find that in the over the next 4 years, while this Chiron comes back with Mars every year, every 2 years or so, we're going to find that this is really about multiple levels. So in the 70s, we found things happening like gay rights protests in New York City. Punk rock was initiated during then with the Ramones and the Sex Pistols, the earliest forms of punk rock. Think punk, warrior, something new, Chiron here, Disney World was open for the first time. The IRA stepped up its recruitment because of a slaughter. The British soldiers in 1972 unfortunately slaughtered a bunch of people, and then the IRA movement in Ireland took off, and people were recruiting like crazy, and they were just growing really fast. Bruce Lee, the famous fighter guy, the karate guy who did many movies, he died suddenly at age 32 in 1973 during this time frame, 70 to 75. Nixon resigned Did he resign? Yeah. And Spiro Agnew, vice president, resigned for tax fraud, conspiracy, tax evasion, and bribery charges. Ooh. Oh my God. Think about Nixon and Spiro Agnew both going down when the noble warrior hero archetype met the wounded healer Chiron. The trade towers were built, by the way, in 1973 during that time. So a big, bold statement, you know. Billie Jean King, the tennis player, beat Bobby Riggs. Yay, heroic feminine. Thank you for the mentorship, Chiron. There's all kinds of things that happen, guys. I mean, it's just like, you know, Jane Fonda was doing her thing back then, Hanoi Jane in the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was happening, protests and riots everywhere, especially in the United States, obviously, because, you know, that's where they happen, against the war. And then crazy things like the movies that came out back then, A Deep Throat, the first time pornography made a mainstream hit. The Godfather, and that's so kind of the archetype of Chiron meets Mars, you know. Chiron is, you know, that could be the dark side of the soldier, the dark side, the wounded warrior. And then there was this Munich 1972 hostage crisis. And don't forget, Mars rules athletics and Chiron is the woundedness. And there is this Chiron conjunction. I think there actually was one in 1972. I had the dates written down, but you can just think every 2 years from 1970 to 1975, those two met. And then the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia were beginning to kill a lot of people during the tail end of the Chiron, noble Chiron meeting Mars for the 5th time in 1975. And that is the wounded archetype of that. But we do have riots and protests against Vietnam. And we do have enlistments in wars like the IRA's war against Britain. So those kinds of vibes are going to be big for the next 4.5, 5 years. Okay, so Chiron is doing this for the whole of us. Back to the 70s is how I'm thinking of it. Back to the 70s. It's happening in a context that wasn't here in the 70s. We didn't have Saturn and Pluto crunched up together in Capricorn with Jupiter in the South Node that, you know, was there. Now it's moved on. There was the catalyst for the pandemic because that constellation of planets happened basically during the bubonic plague, and now it's back again. And we also didn't really have Uranus going through Taurus, so there's a lot of energy that's different around the circumstances. But still the broad themes archetypally of Chiron meeting with a soldier, warrior, hero archetype, trying to mentor him and teach him about medicine and healing and what knife doth, you know, cut out this plague, or however that went. The point is that there's also that healer and medicine part that can be taught to the noble warriors of our world. Who are the noble warriors? Right now, they're turning out to be politicians with their head out of the sand in the United States, like Governor Cuomo, but I'm not a political person here, guys. I'm just telling it like I see it astrologically, especially given I live in Canada and I'm not from the United States. But I'm just saying, you can see that the need for noble leadership is going to be called forth as this world is trying to learn how to live in the time of COVID. Alrighty, so let's go on and talk about each of the signs very briefly. I'm going to go through, you know, Aries first, Pisces last, spend about a couple minutes at most on each. Before I go ahead, don't forget, this is my channel. So if you like it, please subscribe and then click the little notifications icon. It looks like a bell. That means anytime I upload something, you're going to get a notification. And of course, share and comment and all of that. And secondly, I have a couple sales going on. One is my Mars special. It's a pre-recorded reading for about 45 minutes for you. And it talks about the next 6 months as Mars travels through Aries, which Mars has not done for 6 months since 1988, July to 89. And how is that going to impact your life and your chart over those next 6 months? So catch the wave if you want it. Eclipse, I also have an eclipse reading for the next 2 years of how the eclipses will unfold a new journey through Sagittarius and Gemini in your chart and what that new journey might entail for you. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about all the signs. All right, Aries, this is happening obviously in your natal first house, Aries rising. You can look at these, all of you guys, sun, moon, and ascendants, okay? Just, you can do all. Truly, your ascendant sign, your rising sign is going to be the most accurate. And if you're born at night, maybe your moon. If you're born when the sun is up, maybe your sun, but certainly make an attempt to find your rising sign. But the derivatives work. I always check out my Aries forecast for myself because I'm an Aries and I'm an Aquarius rising, and I find both of them very useful. Helps that my moon and sun are in Aries. So, you know, it's just a one-stop shopping. All right, here we go. So Aries, this is happening in your natal first house, and this is all about you, all about me. What part of you are you healing over the next 4 years with noble Chiron, with the Zen master and his tough love? And what part of Mars is helping you do that by enabling your will, your drive, and your action? Where is this noble warrior in you? What do you want to champion? What do you want to be a hero for? You know, this can be about improving your body and your health, because the ascendant rules that as well. And, you know, it's interesting because I got like a book I'm writing, and it's got the word revolution in the title. And that's so perfect for my Aries sun moon. So is there something that you want to do that you feel is important, and you really want to be the hero, the noble hero? And that Chironic energy means that there's a deeper sense of being nobly mentored by the forces of the universe to accomplish something in your life. It's exciting 4 years for all of the Aries sun, moon, and ascendants. They're going to come out of the gate fast. Don't forget, there's a shadow side, the wounded healer meeting the soldier, kind of like the wounded soldier, the wounded hero. So the acting out, like the Khmer Rouge, you know, killing people. It's like, do we really want to sign up to join an army to fight people and kill them? Do we really want to do that? Where's the spiritual warrior and the noble warrior within that? You know, I mean, there's a sense in the tale of Achilles that, you know, he wouldn't kill the timid lynx. He would not do that because Chiron taught him not to kill the timid animals. There's nobility in this warriorship. If you fall from nobility and you act badly, you, Mars, cut off, argue, can conflict, combative energies with others over the next 4 years. Make sure if you're going to go to combat, go to war, Aries, that it's worth it, that it's something noble, that it's something worth your time and energy to fight for. You know, that expression, you know, don't go with what you stand against. Find out what you stand for. All right, next, the Tauruses of the world. This is very subtle, you Taurus ascendant, sun, and moons, because it's in your natal 12th house. Now, that can be a house of difficulty, like incarcerations or jails or hospitals. And so you may end up tending to somebody over the next 2 to 4 years who need your help in that way, 3 now to 4 years, being a noble servant and warrior for somebody else's well-being. But on the other hand, this is the house of past lives, the house of your dreams at night, the house of foreign lands, the house of money that comes to you remotely, that you don't work for like directly, like, you know, on the internet when you sell things. That can be very 12th house money. So you're going to find ways, you Tauruses, to improve that part of your world. And so, you know, if there's something you want to do to create income, or there's a foreign land that calls your soul for a trip or even a move over the next 4 years, Chiron meeting up with Mars will give you the ambition, the drive, the focus, the action, the clarity, and the strength of decision making in all of those areas that I spoke of. All right. Gemini, this is happening for you guys in your 11th house of good spirit. This is a lucky house. This is a good place for things to happen. In general, it's you know, pennies from heaven, and it's a sense of your hopes, dreams, and wishes. So all of you Geminis, where is it that you would like to experience the action, Mars, and the Chiron over the next 4 or 5 years of those repeat meetings? Noble drive, noble ambition, higher forces of goodness, 7th house, 11th house, which also can be your karmic rewards house. That from paying the karmic debt of your 6th, you can get 6th house, because the 11th is 6 from the 6th. It's the debt having been repaid. It's the rewards for your karmic debts. So in what way do you want to receive the rewards of your karmic debt payment plan over the next 4 years? And, you know, what Chiron is meandering back and forth with Mars 4 to 5 years from now. This is a theme. And they meet there every 2 years. So I would say that almost every 2 years, I would almost say to you that I think intuitively what you guys are looking at here is a chance to make the dream true. You know, whatever your true hopes and wishes are for your life, which is very much one of the features of the 11th house, having this combination return there every 2 years of Chiron meeting up with Mars is going to give you the vigor and the vim and the strength to do the dream, okay, to do the dream, Geminis. You can also benefit from friends and allies quite significantly over the next 2 years, especially during those transits, maybe being mentored literally by somebody who you might have considered a friend or an ally, but now they're really stepping up to help you. All right, moving on. Cancer, this is happening in your natal 10th house of career. Well, we all know what that's about. It's about your status in the world, your reputation, your career, your high noon of the chart energetically, and it can be like the God's plan for you kind of part of the chart. And so you Cancers really are going to step up over the next 4 and 5 years as this transit repeats itself. And yes, it is starting up on the 14th of this month, like tomorrow from this recording, but it doesn't mean it's about just that date. So you're really going to start putting your drive and focus and ambition and your strong focus of decisions and clarity around career, because Mars can really be about cutting things away, Cancer, and you're not good at that because you guys are so sensitive and you have a hard time with boundaries and hard no's. And yet this is going to be also 4 years in which Mars in the 10th house says, not this, not that, not this, like strong, no, not that. You know, maybe you will find the true calling of your career over the next 4 years. But that old Zen master expression, master, how do you carve a perfect elephant every time? And the student asks the master, and he says, I carve away all that is not elephant. So Mars might help you carve away. He's known for slicing, cutting, carving, separating all the things that aren't really what you want in terms of your career. And that might involve where you live as well, because this is happening opposite the house of home. Okay, moving on. Leo, you guys go through the 9th house experience over the next 4 years with this transit. And your 9th house is a house of higher education. Going back to college could be a part of the next 4 years for you guys. It can be, you know, campuses, colleges, certification programs. Even like I did a year-long program in Hellenistic astrology that I had a test for with Atutavava, and I ended up with, it used to be called Adam Ellenbus, I ended up with a certificate like that I passed, right? And it was a year-long program. So, and it was online, but those kinds of programs are 9th house, not just the weekend workshop or that kind of thing. It's like that digging in, getting a real education. So for some of you Leos, you might get educated over the next 4 years in something that has Chironic features, you know, healing, nobility, medicine. Chiron's a magician of the zodiac too. It's a little bit about the Reiki, the magic, the woo as well. You know, the non-ordinary. So you've got that feature going in the education house, but also foreign lands and international themes in the book publishing house. Do any of you Leos have a book in you? I'm telling you, Chiron meeting Mars, warrior energy every second year there, triggering that longer storyline. We'll probably get that book done over the next 4 years for sure, if not even published and out there. We write it in the 3rd house, but we get it published in the 9th. Gurus and guides and sages and mentors are all belonging to, and priests and ministers all belong to the religion house, which is the 9th. So you might find yourself under the tutelage, Chiron, under the mentorship, Chiron, of some person who brings out your warrior spirit, your nobility, your action, your decision-making powers. And that may actually occur like this July, you know, July, August, as that conjunction happens. But you may find more than one mentor over the next 4 years or so, 4 to 5 years, as that continues to happen, that transit. All right, moving forward to Virgo. You guys are having this in your 8th house, and that's the house of death. That sounds heavy, but it's what it is. I'm not going to pretend. And, you know, technically speaking, you know, Mars is in your house of death for 6 months. You may experience the death of someone close to you over the next 6 months, you Virgos, ascendant, sun, and moon. Now, that aside, this is a repeating theme, renewing a lease in the 8th house every couple of years, thanks to the joining of these 2 planets. And so this is derivative income, debts and loans, bank money, mortgages, royalties, spousal money, business partnership income, investment income. So that kind of money is very powerfully up in the storyline over the next few years. If you're really, you know, someone born in the 50s or 40s and listening to this, you might go back to like 70 to 75 and ask yourself, how was it going with your finances? What was happening back then? So there's this theme there. It's all about the money, honey. So Chiron is going to heal the wounds of your money and help you try to fix it. And Mars will give you the strategic action to do that. And so it could even be as simple as finally over the next 4 years, paying down debt. And, you know, sometimes it's okay to go bankrupt. You know, if that's the better choice for you, do it. And that could be like a clean restart. So Chiron, Mars, over and over again, helping you heal the money house. Now, it's also the house of psychic ability and occult mystery and wisdom and a bunch of other themes. So if you're occultly inclined to discover and study deep mysteries of life, this could be a time for you to do that. And, you know, Chiron is all about the magical, like abracadabra, you're healed, Lazarus, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, Chiron is not just like set the bone healing. I mean, Chiron's deep soul healing, shamanic healing. So those areas may be very important for you over the next 4 years. Okay, so Libra, this is happening in your 7th house of marriage and business partnerships. Mars is going through there for 6 months. You're going to cut away from somebody in your life for sure. You know, the end of that connection, whether it's a marriage connection, Libra, ascendant, sun and moon, or whether it's a business connection, partnership, or it can be the house of your clients if you see clients one-on-one. And that's okay to say no to certain clients or even to all clients. Maybe it's time to stop seeing clients. So the 6 months ahead with Mars going through there, those are themes. But the Chiron returning to and Mars meeting there every 2 years starting this July 14th is an ongoing story of healing something about your 7th house, the house of other, in which Mars can be an ally with Chiron to do that. Mars can say, I need to cut these people out of my life, and I need to stop, you know, seeing these people. I need to get out of these agreements, even legal agreements, even marriage agreements. And then Chiron says, I get it. Let's do it the noble way. Let me help you figure out the soulful way to clean up this part of your life. Alrighty, let's move on to Scorpio. This is happening in your natal 6th house of service and work. It's the work you do in the world as an act of service. It's the house of your karmic debt. It's also the house of your body's physical ways it can get sick. So it's kind of like the house of sickness. And, you know, protocols for wellness exist in that part of your chart. So Scorpio rising, sun and moon, what you need to pay attention to are how to get your body moving, because Mars is going through there for 6 months. Qigong, Tai Chi, jogging, yoga. What do you need to move that body? Get it athleticized. But now with Chiron meeting Mars there, Chiron's like mentor, teacher, guide, personal coach for your body, for your health, for your wellness. It doesn't just have to be about movement. It can be things that you want to eat or things you need to cut out of your diet or your food style in order to be much more healthy. And then, of course, your work, same idea. You're going to be chomping at the bit like a stallion horse, wanting to up your game in your work environment. And you're going to have Chiron helping you. Now that can literally outpicture as a healer or a helper or a guide that's going to mentor you in this time. The next 4 or 5 years, you might find more than one mentor to take bold, appropriate action in your career zone. Now, the 6th house is kind of like the workplace, the workspace, the means and routines of your work. And if you're employed, it's your colleagues at work. And if you're a boss, it's your employees. But there's a lot going on over the next 5 years to change that. You know, Mars meets Chiron, they have a powwow every 2 years. So you're going to see the way you do your work in the world changing dramatically and significantly over the next 4 to 5 years total. All right, starting on July 14th with the first of those conjunctions. Next, Sagittarius. Okay, rising, sun and moon. This is a 5th house placement. It's the house of romantic love. So it's also the house of children, pregnancy, and creative acts. It's a divine spark of you, your divine creativity, joy, play, Arues, fun in life. Now, Mars is going through there for 6 months until January. So there's a lot of Mars energy there. Mars likes to be, you know, pretty passionate when it comes to romance. So maybe you're going to find yourself involved with somebody in the next 6 months. But Chiron keeps coming back every 2 years to your 5th house of romance. So for some of you Sagittariuses who are romantically challenged, brokenhearted, and haven't gotten back to the wholeness there, I could say that the next 4 or 5 years will heal that. And for some of you Sagittarius who wanted to have children, who didn't have children yet, okay, this is very possibly going to happen. With Chiron, the healer in that part of your chart as well, you know, healing some things about your own children, the relationship with your children, your relationship with being a parent, your own connection to that part of you that has to be the parental aspect, because, you know, Chiron is the guide and the mentor, and you don't have to be yourself. You know, your friends your child's best friend, right? Can you mentor them and still be a, good force without having to be an autocratic boss of them? My daughter always says, "You're not the boss of me." Yeah, well, it's not always good to be the boss of your children, better to guide them. So with Chiron going there until like 2026 and started there in 2019, that's kind of a call for a lot of you Sagittarius who are mothers or fathers, is to how to mentor your children or find guides and mentors to help you be a better parent. So that theme prevails, but now Mars is joining the crew, and Mars will be right action, drive, ambition, and focus in the areas of children, childbirth, parenting, and romance. Moving forward, 3 more signs to go. Capricorn, you guys are having a 4th house thing. Now, Mars is spending 6 months in your 4th house. Good luck staying put. This is so hard for you to stay put. You're probably going to want to relocate, change your apartment, move, etc. now, or start doing some kind of major changes to your home. So that aside, now we've got Chiron, who's been there since 2019 and will be there until 2026. And that is Chiron trying to heal the home fires. Now, your 4th house is your parents and your family of origin. So are you going to be healing those relationships? Have you already started? When Chiron comes to meet Mars, or they join together on the 14th of July, and don't forget, every 2 years, 4 more times, about every, year and a half to 2 years from now, that is an ongoing theme. Taking the action and the bold, courageous movement needed to heal things to do with the 4th house of home, of mom and dad, of your own ancestral line maybe, and even just with constellation work, family healings, family constellation work is very apt with Chiron meeting Mars there. Finally, sometimes we need to cut people out of our life, even if they come from our family that we grew up in. Our family of origin doesn't always mean we're stuck with them. And Mars going through there with Chiron, a healing maybe for some of you guys, Capricorn, Ascendant, Sun, and Moon, time to let go of somebody, trying to say, no, thanks, it's done. I mean, yes, you're my brother. Yes, you're your mom or my dad. But you're not, necessarily healthy for me. Siblings is a 3rd house, which we get to next. Aquarius rising, that's me, and Sun, Moon as well. You guys are having a 3rd house activation with Mars plowing through your 3rd house for the next 6 months until January. And Chiron's been there since 2019 and will be there to 2026. So let's go straight up, very classic, simple. This is the house of your siblings. Are you going to be healing relationships with your siblings over the next 4 or 5 years? Possibly Chiron, Mars, conflicts and disagreements between siblings, among siblings may be called for healing over that time. You may be called to help heal a sibling who's not doing well physically, mentally, or emotionally, and to be a support for them. You Aquariuses may also find that during that time that you have a lot going on 3rd house wise, writing, speaking, teaching, doing divination and oracleship, that belongs to the 3rd house. If you had a book in you, oh my God, it's time to write it. Chiron meets Mars, the mentor, the guide, the teacher meets the Mars action hero energy, and you've been procrastinating to write something, it's gonna happen, you're gonna do it. It's also the house of education, like, elementary and high school. But it also can be the part of the chart that represents online teachings, like where people take 6-week workshops or online courses. If you want to take something like that over the next while, especially in the short term, Chiron meeting Mars, go for it. It will be very good. I'm signing up for a course on diving deeper into the moon by an expert on lunar astrology. So that fits for me, and that's like a 3-month course, but also I'm teaching courses online. And so, and I'm really moving more into that. Right now I'm doing my Do What You Love course, and it's full. I got 14 participants, mentorship, and it ends the end of August. Do what you love with the magic you're born for. So I'm really living into this archetype of the Chiron through my 3rd since 2019. But with that Mars conjunction that just happened on the 14th, for all of the Aquarians out there, you're really looking at how to step up your action to be effective in the 3rd house with the help of Chiron. That sort of tough love, Zen master with the stick energy. I mean, some of the stuff that I said, the Achilles stuff is so sweet. I mean, the way Achilles talks about Chiron, you could feel the love, coming off of it. Never would he suffer me to follow unwarlike does does. Never would he suffer me to follow unwarlike does, like not the stag, but the doe, through the pathless glens of Asa, or lay low timid lynxes with my spear, but only to drive angry bears from the resting places and boars with lightning thrust. Okay, you get the gist, right? This is noble warriorship. All right, Aquariuses, let's go for it. Okay, the last thing is the Pisces of the world. Second house is being activated for you guys. This is money. This is about bringing revenue and income and self-worth into your life, and your possessions as well, things you eat as well. Your throat is as part of the chart. So things that you ingest have to change. Mars and Chiron will make you find healing foods and take action to start imbibing them and stop, cut out. Mars severs, cuts, and ends any kind of thing that you ingest, food or drink, that doesn't really work for you. So time to stop. Stop the presses. End of, basta, enough on bad things that you are eating or drinking. So also Pisces, money is interesting in the second house. It comes by virtue of our self-possession. And if we don't really feel good about ourselves, and I was born with Chiron in my second house, and I really feel I know this one. You've got Chiron there, 2019 to 26. So you Pisces are learning about your self-worth, your self-love, your self-possession, so that you can command your worth and have reciprocal energy flow back at you, whether it's barters, I'll do this reading and you'll give me a pig back in the day, or I'll do this reading for you, or this service, or this thing I love to do, and you will bring me something as an offering, which we call money in these days, currency. So a lot of Pisces, and it took me a lot of years to figure that one out because of that wounded healer there. I never felt like I was able to ask people for money for things I did to help them, So I find that you're going to be looking at this Pisces as a longer story, but now that Mars is joining the fray, you're going to have the power, the courage, the drive, the focus to do it, to actually figure out where you want to make money, how you want to make money in a way that you feel good about, that you feel you can really just feel so good about, not about, grabbing money greedy. It's about noble Chironic energy. And you could be a mentor with Chiron going through here. You can mentor others. You can be a mentor and healer and guide for others and charge for it. And that's what Chiron might be tickling for some of you Pisceans that started to open that door in 2019 February, and will continue that to keep that door open until the end of 26. All right, so I'm done. If you guys enjoyed this, please subscribe. Please hit the like bell, the icon and like the little bell that lets you know when I post something. And last but not least, don't forget to check the subject box below, where I have all of my sales that are currently on in the box. And my year ahead forecast for 135 was such a hit. It was my COVID special and I kept it up, and I'm unfortunately going to have to take it down because I'm teaching a class, but I'll leave it up for the next week or so. My class starts on the 18th, and once I'm down in the trenches teaching, I won't be booking any more of those year ahead specials. But I'll put it down there below and leave it up until then. All right, guys, it was a pleasure to connect virtually. I just like this picture, Hang on, isn't that just so funky? It's from my stock account with Adobe. I don't know why it just inspires me to have a megaphone with symbols of the alphabet blowing out, but it just does. All right, ciao, ciao.